All right, all right, all right. So good to see you guys out there today. We're getting pumped up because we've got some exciting things to share with everyone today. This is going to be an amazing session. You can always tell, you know, I always have great days, even though I'm recovering from a cold right now. Um, Today is super special for a lot of reasons. And one of the biggest reasons why today is super special is um, two of my clients, my best clients, have come through with some exciting news today. One of my clients has just got a multi-million dollar deal on the table that they're going to be closing soon that's going to blow their company up and clearly um, way escalate their goals for 2025 and way into 2026 in terms of the business development goals for the organization. So I'm so proud of them for all the hard work that they're doing and the great opportunities that are there in front of them. And one of my clients just passed his life and health exam for the state of Virginia, which is significant because when you get to be my age and you you have to take those very very uh, important tests to launch another phase of your career and a career phase of your career development. It's just all exciting to be able to break up on those old study habits and get back in the game and do well. So I'm going to congratulate my two clients. You know who you are, so I'm not going to mention your name, but it's so exciting to see your success and so excited to be a part of your success. And so thankful for that. Today's topic, as always, is a super serious topic because we're talking about committees and how important committees are to the achievement of any organizational goals. I don't care if it's a nonprofit organization, a for-profit organization, an association, or any type of community service group. Everything comes down to being able to work well within committees. Now let's talk about what happens when you don't work well in committees. If you don't have strong committees that are working well, what you're going to end up with is a lot of frustrated individuals. You're going to end up with a lot of people who have volunteered or voluntold or even paid employees, right, who are part of a team that's absolutely dysfunctional. And I say that without any reservations or hesitation because the dysfunction revolves around people not really adequately using their talent, not feeling that their efforts are being meaningful, relevant, or significant, making and not feeling like they have a sense of belonging or a sense of understanding about their contribution and how special that contribution should be. Everybody who serves on a team, a committee, a task force, they should feel that sense of accomplishment. They should feel that sense of belonging. They should feel like they're doing something that is relevant with a group of people that are also relevant, right? Developing the skills associated with this. And I'm going to suggest the hybrid model. And let me show you what that means. Let me go ahead and add that to the stage real quick and sort of help you all understand. This is the 5 pillar hybrid model that we've been discussing for the last 5 weeks, right? And this 5 pillar hybrid model for committees to function around these core areas of community engagement, operations and logistics, digital technology, volunteer support and training, and partnership and fundraising cannot happen if the committee leaders and the committee members do not have the appropriate mindset. If they haven't committed not just to the mission of the organization, but to the role that they are playing in one or two of these models or these administrative approaches, right? You can be working within the partnership and fundraising pillar and the digital technology pillar. You can be working within the community engagement pillar and the volunteer support and training pillar. But what you can't do is find yourself working in all 5 of those areas, especially if you're the committee leader. You need to be the person that is orchestrating the band, so to speak. You're not playing an instrument. You're not fulfilling a role other than the role of facilitating and leading the group. You may play a large role when it comes to recruitment of members of the committee. And by the way, I suggest in order for you to really use the 5-pillar approach, you're going to need 15 to 20 people on the committee. You can't do this with 2 people. A committee of 2 is not a real committee because they're not going to be able to function within all the roles associated with being a committee. So I know people out there, well, I can't find anybody to help me, and this committee is overweighted, and there's not enough people, or it's too many people and not enough workers actually doing the thing. There's a lot of things we share within these last several videos that can help you avoid all of that drama. Right? But what is really, really, really important is that when you're going to have to get some serious work done, and it's going to take more than just the energy of one person, go ahead and get a good team together. Go ahead and get a team that people can specialize and grow in these 5 areas, by the way. You don't want to get somebody on the community engagement side that doesn't want to engage with the community, that doesn't want to talk, that doesn't want to listen to other people, that's not interested in working with people to achieve a better result. They're not looking for, these people look for feedback. These people look for opportunities, and there's so many different aspects of these different things. So you need the right mindset. You need to understand the 5-pillar model. But more importantly than that, you need to know, especially as a committee leader, that you have the tools and the strength to make it happen. And I'm going to share those tools with you right now, today. The tools we're going to discuss today, right, that are the zones, or another way to look at those things are the different areas of responsibility that you need to be fundamentally skilled at as a leader in any of these communities, or these top 10 skills right here. You got to have them. You got to have clear structured communication. That's number 1. You got to have an inclusive facilitation model. That's number 2. You have to have equity and fairness at the cornerstone of what you do. That's number 3. Number 4, you need to have outcome-based management systems and strategies. You need to have trust building, and you need to be able to do it at a distance, meaning you have to use all the hybrid tools that are out there, the Zoom calls, the webinars, all the different things. You have to be beautiful at those things. You have to be tech savvy. I mean, you would use these technological tools, but you have to still have the human touch, right? You still have to know how to engage people. You still have to know how to ask meaningful, engaging questions along the way, right? Number 7, you have to be adaptable and have continuous improvement model always, always, always. And number 8, you have to be data driven in your decision making, so understanding how to clearly analyze information. All right. Number 9, emotional intelligence and cultural agility. Can't say enough about those things. If you don't know and understand how to understand someone else's framework and their feelings and their understanding of things and their way of doing it, you're not interested in finding out how to do that, and they're on your team, you're going to be part of the problem. And so if there's some barrier that you can't seem to get across, you need to work really hard to do that, to engage people correctly, right? And number 10 is finally stakeholder engagement and activation. You cannot successfully run any good committee if you don't understand how to work with your stakeholders well, and how to get them activated and energized to do whatever you do. So I've created a self-assessment, and you might say in these 10 skill sets, or you can figure out how to put those in an assessment model, which I've done, and it's on page 35 of the training manual that's attached to this training. So if you've seen this on LinkedIn, or you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, you can go back and check the link and download the entire training manual. Turn to page 31, I'm sorry, that's the 35, but I meant 31, and you can find this self-assessment. It is so important because each of these 10 categories has about 3 or 4 different items of self-assessment that you can, as a leader, take yourself through. And if I was a chapter leader or an association leader, I would have all of my committee members take the self-assessment. and really rate themselves and understand these are yes or no questions that we're going to go through today. But in doing so, every single person who takes that self-assessment is going to understand where they have strengths and where they have deficiencies when it comes to leading hybrid community strategies and committee strategies and being able to function well within those strategies. So I'm hoping you'll take the self-assessment yourself, download the document. If you need an idea of where to find those documents or where to get them, you can definitely give me a call. If you can't figure it out, I'll figure it out how to post it. By the way, I'm probably going to do that somewhere doing our talk here today. If I can figure out how I can pull it up, I think I can. Yeah, okay. I'll give you guys access to the assessment, but we're gonna have to see through the whole training manual because I haven't pulled out a single page for the assessment. Um, Let me see what's the best way to do that. We're talking about committee. Yeah, there it is. Okay. And that's the most recent copy of it. So I'm going to copy the link to that, and I'm going to put the link in the post. By the way, this is the link to the assessment. It's in the Google Drive, which you can access right here through Facebook or through LinkedIn or through YouTube. So you can be able to see that right in the chat. You can download it for your own use. I suggest you do that. It's not well titled or described here, so it's just a random link. You didn't have to trust me that the link is good and it does what it needs to do. All right. Before we get into the assessment, though, I want to thank all of you all for coming through and for showing up and being here part of this training for the last couple of weeks. This will be the last part of this series, and we're going to move on to another series. I haven't decided what that series is going to be, but if you are out there and you want to suggest something, go ahead and put the suggestion in the chat. I see my boy David is linking is coming in through Facebook, which is good. It's good to see you, Brother Huff. Nice to see you out there. Thank you very much for coming through, and happy Friday to you as well. There are so many of my friends and associates who watch this either live or on demand, later on, which I really, really appreciate. I'm not gonna super appreciate if you share this particular video with your friends, if you make a comment or suggestion, and we like to make sure this is a business friendly community, right? Let me try to commit to right here. And so if you have a promotion or you want people to get in contact with you, you want them to see your website, your phone number, your whatever contact information you want to share it in the chat. This is a business friendly opportunity. We want you to make sure that you have as much outreach capacity as you possibly can. I'm going to be doing another talk right after this one for George Mason University, and as a result of that particular preparation, I'm really rediscovering, as a small business champion, I should say, or not just a coach, but a person who is very interested in promoting small businesses. Did you realize that 99% of all businesses in America right now today, it's 99% are small businesses, right? They're starting right now today at a rate of over 450,000 new small businesses every single day in the US. The real problem, though, is even though they employ over 46% of the population, most small businesses are out of business within the first 5 to 10 years. So the question I have is, what do we need to do to make sure that we protect those businesses as much as possible and help them thrive as much as is possible? Because I know that when we do that, we're adding to the economic development of our nation. We're adding to um, the innovation and creativity that surpasses all things. Small businesses have 16% more patents and intellectual property that's registered at the patent and trademark offices than big businesses ever do. When it comes to innovation and when it comes to creativity, we need small businesses to thrive because that's how our nation adds to our GDP and creates more and more economic opportunity for everyone, regardless of race, age, you know, sex. None of that stuff is a huge issue for small businesses. And I will tell you, um, it's hard for small businesses to institutionalize any negative concept within our society. Why? Because they're too small. They have, each of them have so much of a diversity and so much dilution of our cultural mix. Because if small businesses were ever to come together and decide for themselves that they were going to take their rightful place as the economic engine of America, that they are, and do that with a collective mindset, I think a lot of the issues that they face would be null and none. But it has nothing to do with the price of tea in China. Even small businesses who have committees that they have to function through, because a lot of the work that a small business has to do is in collaboration with others. And so learning how to run these committees is extremely important to small businesses, which is why I created this training in the first place. So again, let's talk about um, this assessment strategy. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to read each one of the 10 assessments. I'm going to read the questions underneath each one of the 10 assessments. And these are all yes or no questions. And so if you want to get kind of the best way to do this is to look at the yes or no's that you rack up and put them on a piece of paper, write them on a piece of paper. And we'll go through these as a yes or no strategy. You can also flip these same questions around as and make them affirmations as to what you will and will not do as you run your committees, and things that you could look over. You can kind of work them into different parts of your agenda, depending on how long your committee is going to be. There's so many different ways you can use the self-assessment. You don't have to just use it as it is presented in the training, but you can flip it around and ask clear questions and really write down your responses. You can do open-ended questions. All of this can be really useful for the self-assessment. So let's go with it. Number one, clear structured communication. What this is all about is setting and establishing clear norms for when and where information is shared, ensuring that no messages get lost. And no matter what medium you use, whether it's email threads, chat channels, some type of meeting platform, chat room, or whatever you're trying to do, right? That's what clear structured communication is all about. So it's taking the time to make sure that everyone understands what communication strategies you'll be using and how they'll be organized, and make sure they're done really well. So the questions I would ask underneath the clear structured communication for an assessment point of view is, one, have I established a dedicated channel, either Slack, email, some kind of document sharing program for different types of committee communication? Have I established a dedicated channel for different types of committee communication? Check yes or no. So as a leader, if you've ever run a committee, you could do this. Or if you're running a committee right now, you could do this. And if you're dreaming about running a committee and you haven't thought all these things through, you still can use this assessment, right? So check yes or no on that first question. Second question, under clear structured communication, I document and distribute meeting agendas, minutes within, and meeting agendas and minutes within 24 hours. So if you're going to have a monthly meeting or weekly meeting or whatever that is, within 24 hours, you make sure that you distribute the agenda using whatever communication strategy you said you were going to use within 24 hours? Check yes or no. The third question under clear structured communication is this: I confirm that all committee members know where to find key information and whom to contact for updates. So you talked about those roles, right? In the committees, you're going to want to make sure that people know who to go to ask what questions. And if you've clearly communicated that up front and you continue to communicate that in every possible iteration you come to when it comes to communication, people never know, they always know where to go back and get the last committee meetings, notes, or the agendas, or the minutes, or any other recorded documentation or videos or whatever it is that you want to share. They have a place that they go to receive that information, and it's organized and clear, right? Check yes or no on that one. Okay, inclusive facilitation. I love this one. When you are inclusive in your facilitation, you don't let people go unnoticed, right? You always make it clear that everyone has a role and everyone has a contribution to share. Nobody gets to opt out when it comes to this kind of stuff. So here are the questions that you might want to use as an assessment to how well you're doing with inclusive facilitation. I use virtual hand raising, round robin check-ins, or polling to balance participation. Check yes or no. Second question, I alternate who leads sections of the agenda and share authority well. Check yes or no. Question 3, I actively invite quieter members to share their perspectives. Check yes or no. And I will tell you the challenge with inclusive facilitation is you run into people who don't feel comfortable speaking. But that's a growth challenge for them because you need their voices and their thoughts to show up in the committee activities, in the committee work that's being done. And this is a way that you can ensure that that happens. And it's impossible for people to feel like their work is represented well when they don't represent their work at all, right? So you need to make sure that they're showing up and communicating to the best of their ability within the committee, reporting out or doing whatever they're doing, answering questions, whatever they're doing. Number 3, equity and fairness. This is a huge, huge opportunity because leaders who guard against proximity bias when it comes to these hybrid committee meetings, they ensure that remote contributions receive the same level of attention and recognition as those that are on site. And there's all kinds of biases that show up in human behavior that you have to be careful of, because sometimes who you have on the committee are some of your friends. And then you have some people that you're not so close with on the committee. And you have to be very careful not to bias the energy in the room to people that you are closer to, or people that are on site, or people that, you feel more connected to. Because when you do this, you're really not creating equity and fairness. All right, so the questions you would ask as an assessment: I spotlight online participants first when soliciting input. You're soliciting input from everyone, right? So you make sure you get those online people first, or those distant people first. People may have to leave early, get their thoughts in first. All right, number 2, I rotate meeting times or formats to accommodate different schedules and locations. Sometimes we work with people who they're in different time zones. They're in different countries and time zones. And so, certain formats work better for certain levels of internet capacity and capability in different places. And so asking people early on which formats they're really familiar with and which formats they like to use, and trying to figure out if you can incorporate the various different formats is good for your committee. Let me tell you why. Learning how to use StreamYard or Zoom or Facebook formats or learning how to use Microsoft formats or Google formats when it comes to these video channels and these video committee kind of chat rooms and things like that. It's important to learn because, as they grow and each one of them changes and little different things can be used, little different tools can be used for different ones. That way, you're on top of what's going on and you can pivot when you need to pivot and adjust when you need to adjust to different types of formats that are also all useful, and you can figure out which ones are most useful for what, right? Number 3, I solicit anonymous feedback to capture honest insights from all members. Figure out a way to do this, whether you have to create a Google form or some kind of survey tool, SurveyMonkey, or some other kind of tool to get honest feedback, to capture the insights of people. Even when they're not in the meeting, you can always send out a feedback form of some type, making sure that people participate. And if you got a committee of 20 and you only get back 5 feedback forms, then you're not getting real, data from the people that you're working with on the committee in terms of their insights. The next assessment questions you might want to ask yourself about outcome-based management. What do we mean by outcome-based management? When you're able to shift focus from the time spent to results delivered, you empower autonomy, while at the same time you're maintaining accountability through clear deliverable and metrics, right? So you want to know what the outcomes are that you're looking for. What are the clear deliverables that you're looking for? Because when you have clear deliverables, it really does help people feel connected to the outcomes, and they can do this without a whole lot of questions, because I was just using the SMART goal strategy always, because it helps you be accountable, helps everyone be accountable on the committee for their goals inside the roles that they play, right? So there's a couple questions that you might ask as assessment tools underneath that. Number 1, I set specific measurable goals for projects and individual tasks. That's a yes or no question. I track progress against defined KPIs rather than attendance and hours logged. Question number 3, I provide autonomy on how tasks are executed, intervening only when outcomes fall off track, right? So there's an indication that you probably should have a project tracker that you're using as a tool to assess how each project is going, with appropriate tasks that are delegated to appropriate committee members based on the roles and the functions of their particular pillar within the committee structure. Number 5, trust building at a distance. I can't tell you how much this is important. Like I said earlier, people are joining these committees, and they're joining committees from different time zones, from different geographical areas, from different cultural backgrounds. And you still have to create an opportunity for psychological safety, even in hybrid teams, right? That means you still got to do things like regular one-on-ones with certain members of the committee, based on where they are and where they're functioning. You have to have transparent decision making, right? So when you're going to be leading a committee, and the buck stops at you, or as a leader, right? You're making the final call as to what you're going to present to the larger organization based on your committee findings or whatever you're doing. It's important that you're transparent on how you're going to make those decisions about who gets to deliver those reports, right? Or how those reports are going to be delivered, how the people's on the committees names are going to be mentioned associated with the roles that they play in the committees. So assessment skills you might ask or to yourself, again, checking yes or no. I schedule reoccurring check-ins with remote members to discuss workload and concerns. Yes or no. I share decision rationales and next steps openly with the full committee. Yes or no. I follow through on assignments and communicate delays or obstacles proactively. Yes or no. Again, as you check yeses, you become aware that you already skilled in this area. As you check no's, you become aware that you're not so skilled in these areas, and these might be areas of improvement that you want to go to. The next area of assessment you want to think about is your tech savviness with a human touch. The committee leaders who use intuitive tools, right? They provide just-in-time training, and they use technology to enhance, not replace, personal connections. Assessments, questions you might want to ask yourself here is, I standardize on a small set of easy-to-use platforms for meeting and project management. Check yes or no. I offer short tutorials or pairing sessions to onboard members to new tools. Check yes or no. I encourage video on participation and personal check-ins to keep interactions human. Check yes or no. The more you can do these things and do these things well, the more you don't have to worry about people going, oh, I don't know how to use this. I'm scared of this. I'm afraid of this, blah, 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 blah. When it comes to this technology and these tools, because it is still very difficult. And yeah, there is a thing called Zoom fatigue. And you have to be very careful that you're using these tools in a way that is increasing energy, not diminishing energy. Adaptability and continuous improvement. As a coach, I love this one, right? Because it's about embedding regular retrospectives, really, really having people be interactive and conduct surveys and do data reviews so that, you can pivot quickly when the committee or the processes or tools are underperforming in ways that you don't want them, right? So it's super, super important that you have that mindset of continuous improvement and adaptability. Ways to assess this is through asking these couple questions. One, I run a brief retrospective after each major project or event. That's an after actions review. Check yes or no. Number two, I collect anonymous pulse feedback from members at least quarterly. Check yes or no. Are you checking in with your committee members to see how they're doing in terms of their roles, their assignments, understanding the goals and structure of the committee, everything, right? You want that pulse feedback coming back so if people are vibing after doing things they're correct to do. Number three, adjust workflows to tools based on feedback and share change with the team. As people take these surveys and do this pulse feedback, they're giving you information and data. If you have that information and data and it suggests that you shouldn't change, then you share that. We got the tools back and we got all the information back, and it says that we're doing well. If anybody has any other thoughts or feedback, ask them for the opportunities. But at the same time, if you find out that we're not doing so well, then we're going to make an adjustment. And here's the adjustment. And you got to be okay with sharing that. Again, that's all about being a continuous improvement mindset and showing it, right? Only got 3 more left, people. Data-driven decision making. That's section 8. There are a couple questions you want to ask about that for yourself, but it's important because these questions help you get to real-time information and dashboards in terms of reporting and monitoring the engagement of your committee. You want to detect early warning signs, and you want to allocate resources or reallocate resources where they have the greatest impact when you need to do that. So, but if you're not analyzing the data as it's coming through, if you're not able to make the adjustments based on the truth, and so right up front, you got to do these things. Assessment questions you may ask. I maintain a dashboard of key metrics, right? Who's in attendance, task completion, volunteer satisfaction, how again, that dashboard that you can see as well as other people on your committee can see can help you figure out, how well you're doing, help everybody else see how well they're doing. Number 2, I review data trends with the committee at regular intervals. Sometimes you just got to set up time in the meeting for a brief review of the trends and how they're doing and the things that you're accomplishing. We can take a look at the dashboard again. Um, Number three, I make resource allocation decisions grounded in quantitative insights. Now, I'm going to suggest that you use quantitative and qualitative insights. And if you don't know the difference between those two, give me a call and talk about it. But it's important that you're able to function around these things because you want the resources and the decision making that you use that you do to be functional. You don't want them just to be a decision. Uh, Sometimes a decision is better than no decision. However, sometimes you shouldn't make a decision until you have enough information to make a quality decision, right? Because sometimes productivity for productivity's sake is nothing. It doesn't really get you where you want to go if you're producing the wrong things. Number nine, emotional intelligence and cultural agility. These are keys. If you don't understand and know how to adapt to diverse preferences, to change communication styles when you need to understand cultural norms and strengthen rapport and inclusion across these hybrid teams, then as a community leader, you're not going to do too well, right? Assessment questions. Number one, I actively listen for unspoken cues and ask clarifying questions. Number two, I adjust my communication style to fit different personalities and cultural contexts. Number three, I acknowledge and celebrate cultural holidays or traditional representations on the team, right? You can't just blow by Women's History Month or Black History Month or any other major cultural holidays like Ramadan or Rosh Hashanah or any of those holidays or special moments that, especially when people on your teams observe them. If people on your team don't observe them, okay, maybe you can um, briefly acknowledge it and keep moving forward. But you definitely want to acknowledge those major moments because sometimes you don't even know um, what your community or your committee feels like when it comes to these special holidays and so on and so forth. So stay on top of them and make sure that you acknowledge their presence and existence. I can tell you stories about associations who ignored those special holidays and things for certain people, and those people really felt left out and felt like they didn't belong to the group, right? Number 10, stakeholder engagement and activation. This is the most important thing. Stakeholder engagement and activation. Let me say that again. This is the most important thing. Being able to mobilize ambassadors, being able to leverage peer referrals, being able to conduct targeted outreach campaigns, both online and offline, and expand the committee's reach and impact is super, super important. A couple self-assessment questions you might want to do. Number one, I identify and recruit local ambassadors to champion our cause in their networks. Right? People should be on your committee who represent pockets of your stakeholders and can really be active ambassadors back to those stakeholders about your committee, how wonderful your committee is doing, all the activities and work that your committee is doing. So, they're kind of spreading the good news of your committee. Number two, I track referral sources and conversion rates for new committee members. Recruitment is always a thing. You don't want to have your committee burn out because you didn't recruit new people, new sources, new members, new volunteers, new people into the work of the committee. On a regular, consistent basis. There has to be succession management, just like anything else. There has to be new people coming in, new blood coming in with new ideas, but still grounded in what the work of the committee is supposed to look like and the outcomes that the committee is supposed to produce on a regular, consistent basis. Oh, that's important. Number three, I run periodic outreach campaigns, social media community events aligned to our strategic calendar. I love a good town hall, that gives you an opportunity for the committee to hear feedback from the larger organization and to really create listening campaigns, and you can promote those through whatever social media channels you want to use, or whatever community billboards, or kind of wherever you can spotlight events and so on and so forth. So these are very important things. Now, of these top 10 strategies, they matter most when you can answer yes. In the 10 strategies, there's probably 3 or 4 questions underneath each one of them that you need to be able to answer yes to. But for skills with no responses, what you can do is you can set SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound goals on which you will improve in these skills, and schedule learning activities or peer coaching in a way that's going to matter. You want to revisit this self-assessment every quarter to track your development and adapt your leadership approach as your committee evolves. Because your committee is going to evolve. It's going to bring new blood. It's going to have new people showing up. It's going to create new opportunities. And it's going to matter a lot how you interact and how you connect with one another. That's that's the finish of today's topic, but also the finish of everything you need to know about actively engaging and involving and becoming committee strong. All you got to do is go back, look over the last couple of videos. You'll get a detailed assessment. If you guys think that organizations, churches, places where they can really appreciate this training, especially associations and chambers of commerce, give me a call, put the stuff in front of them, put the committee information in front of them, ask them if they would like to have somebody come by and share this information with them. It's only going to make them stronger. It's only going to make them braver in terms of how they approach their committee work. And as I said earlier, at the top of the hour, it is the most important work that could be done. It's all done in committees. And again, whether they're volunteer committees, whether they're Rotary Club committees, Optimist Club committees, any type of community organization, nonprofit organization, association, even for-profit organizations, all function around collaborative engagement and the work of good hybrid committees. All right, guys, thank you very much. It was a great time. Hope you guys come out to our next Leverage Up event if you can. I understand if you can't, if you got time constraints or financial constraints or whatever that is. If it's a financial constraint but you really want to come, let me know and give me a call or whatever that is, and we'll see what we can do to make sure that you're included and represented. I see my girl Catalina Bravo is in the house. It's so good to see you, Catalina. I see you out there. Thank you very much for your reactions and your feedback and everything like that. Again, whether you're watching this on chat or you're watching this not on chat, but if you're watching this live or you're watching this on demand even later on, the links are going to be up there and available for you. So definitely take advantage of them. And having said all that, I'm going to say good night. I had a great time. I hope you did too. And I got to get ready for my next panel discussion. So we'll see you all later. Bye-bye.